I nearly spat out my coffee when I saw this tweet this morning. Now, a major crypto exchange basically asked, what would you do if XRP hit $1,000? It sounded like pure fantasy, but the crazy part is how many people, including myself, started secretly planning for it. And trust me here, what you're about to hear, exactly why this is so big. And yes, you heard that one right, by the way. One of America's biggest exchanges, Uphold, got over 1 million views just by asking the XRP faithful to imagine the coin at a cool grand. So if you hold XRP, like I do, then that's a question that kind of hits you right in, at least where it feels, right? Now, I mean, could you quit your job, right? Finally buy that Lambo that you've been eyeing up. Or maybe do something totally unexpected. Now, in this video, I'm not here to just hype you up with fairy tales, right? I'm a seasoned crypto investor and a long-term XRP holder. And I'm going to be taking you on my own personal journey through this $1,000 XRP thought experiment. Now, along the way, I will stumble into a surprising new crypto project. I reevaluate my own strategies, and I even learn something about our community. So stick with me here, because whether XRP skyrockets or not, this story might just change how you see the entire crypto game. And by the way, we do have a free educational Discord server. There is a link in the description. It's where we actually debate this question and are debating it right now. Now, I'd love to hear what you guys think would actually do, in fact, at $1,000 XRP. So you can come and share right after the video. So, what exactly happened with that tweet then? Well, Uphold simply posted, imagine XRP at $1,000. What would you do next? And the community went absolutely wild, right? The post quickly went viral with an avalanche of responses. Now, for context, this isn't even the first time that Uphold has floated this $1,000 question. Right? They've been, periodically kind of toying with it since 2020. And every single time that it kind of sparks excitement in the XRP's community. So let's talk about all of those reactions, because they were a mix of thrilling and a little bit enlightening. Now, one person said that they would cash out half of their stack at $1,000, then take 25% of it to buy Bitcoin and hodl for the remaining 25%. Now, that's one way to kind of hedge your bets, right? Now, another commentator basically said that she would sell only 5% of her holdings, just 5%. And let the rest just ride, presumably forever. Now, that's some serious diamond hand energy. There was a guy named Randall who basically said that he'd actually keep his mouth shut, pay off all of his debts, and maybe cut back his work hours. But honestly, right? That's kind of genius if you think about it. No sudden Lamborghini in your driveway. There's no fancy champagne parties, just quietly getting financially free. And then someone named Jason chimed in that he would actually use the opportunity to start building cash flow for himself, his family, and his community. So think about that. Not just personal gain, but setting up income streams and helping out at least the support circle. Now, the diversity of answers was pretty huge, right? But together, they actually paint a rather big picture of just how life-changing a 4-digit XRP could actually be. Now, reading through all of these, I'm nodding along thinking, yeah, that would be what I would do. As someone who's kind of held XRP through the kind of highs of the 2017 bull run and the gut-wrenching lows of the SEC lawsuit saga, the question really made me kind of sit down and kind of reflect. And the truth is that I didn't have a clear plan for a scenario that, well, outrageous, at least not until now. First off, let's get one thing straight. $1,000 XRP is pretty insane. I mean, that at least in the kind of best and most kind of skeptical way, right? Around $2.80 today, getting to around $1,000 means that XRP would have to soar over 35,200% from here. Now, to put that into perspective, if you threw $1,000 into XRP today, then you would be looking at roughly, $353,000 when it hits $1,000 price tag. And if, let's say, you hold 1,000 XRP right now, worth around $2,830 or so, well, that stash would become a cool $1 million. Now, consider what a market cap like that actually entails, right? We're talking about more than $60 trillion in total value for XRP. That would make it more valuable than Apple, Microsoft, and even gold. Yes, more than all of the gold. Now, does that sound a little unrealistic? Absolutely. Even many die-hard XRP fans will tell you straight up that that is a bit of a long shot. But hey, it is not impossible, right? It's just extremely ridiculously ambitious, right? But the also thing to kind of bear in mind here is that market cap is a bit of a myth, specifically when it comes to crypto. After all, the price dictates the market cap, right? Market cap is just theoretical. Last sold price multiplied by the circulating supply, which means that market cap can't possibly be a barrier to price if price is what dictates the market cap, right? You end up with this circular calculation that would just be bonkers. So it's more important to actually reflect on what's moving the price and how those dynamics are going to change, and you'll get a resulting market cap. Now, unlike stock market, where the market cap, of course, can be, drawn out and value is drawn out by the efforts of a company, we're in a fully decentralized world here, where market cap isn't based on the efforts of a company. It's actually based on the price and what people would be deeming worth valuing it at. Now, should the supply and the demand mechanics get all out of balance, well, the price can do some pretty crazy things. I mean, just take a look at Bitcoin, where it is today versus where it was, let's say, back in 2010. A lot of people said that Bitcoin was never going to go to these kind of crazy high numbers. Just think about the market cap, right? But here we are with trillions in market cap for Bitcoin, whereas just, a few years ago, people said that was impossible. Yet I do think there's actually value in entertaining all of these hypotheticals, right? Even if they are a little ambitious, because it forces us to confront the end game of investing. Now, most of us are in crypto hoping for a little bit of that life-changing magic, right? Maybe not 35,000% gains, but something that lets us kind of break out of the old 9-to-5 grind or achieve that financial independence. So humor me here for a second. What if the stars do align and it actually happened? Now, the reason that this $1,000 scenario even feels worth discussing is partly because of who is actually fueling the conversation. Now, Uphold isn't some random Twitter hype account. It's a regulated United States exchange that's been around for many years. And integrity, or at least intriguingly, I should say, they've actually got a special place in XRP's story. See, Uphold actually holds one of the largest stashes of XRP among all the trading platforms. Over 2 billion XRP, valued at around $6 billion, yes. They're literally one of the top 4 XRP holders globally, behind only Ripple, Binance, and Bithumb. But more than that, Uphold actually earned a sort of folk hero status among XRP enthusiasts during the very dark days of the SEC lawsuit, when practically every other crypto exchange in the United States, right, Coinbase, Kraken, you name it, hastily delisted XRP to avoid regulatory heat. Uphold actually stood their ground and never delisted XRP. They were the only major United States exchange to do that. Now, that unwavering support actually means an awful lot. Uphold's CEO even said that their huge XRP reserves are a result of them being there for the community when others were not. Plus, Uphold has teamed up with Ripple on things like cross-border settlement and even distributing Ripple's stablecoin RLUSD. So when Uphold playfully tweets about $1,000 XRP, you can't help but wonder, are they just farming engagement, or do they have some quiet confidence in XRP's future? All right, let's get into my personal game plan here, because my blueprint for this, at least for if and by some kind of cosmic miracle XRP actually does hit the $1,000 mark, then I'm going to be honest with you guys. My plan isn't about yachts or private islands. It's actually pretty down to earth. Okay, maybe just after a brief moment of jumping about, for sheer joy, I guess. Step 1, secure my family's future, right? I'd literally take a significant chunk of my holdings and cash it out. Not all of it, but enough to cover the big things. Think paying off mortgages, knocking out any kind of lingering loans, setting aside college funds for the kids. And, I'm talking real kind of headache eliminators ultimately. That one user's kind of comment about not telling anyone and just quietly paying off debt really kind of resonated with me. Now that's probably step 1, 2, and 3. No sudden moves, no flashy purchases. Just vanish the kind of liabilities that hang over your head. Now, when I say cash out, I don't mean showing up at the bank with a duffel bag of money. That I'd be more strategic about it. I'd convert some XRPs into stable coins, or two, maybe USDC, RLUSD, who knows, right? And then withdraw gradually and tax efficiently, right? I trust a couple of exchanges for this kind of thing, Blothin and BitGet. Now, those are the ones that I've been using lately to trade and off-ramp when needed. Quick transparency note though, if you check the description, you're going to find a link to our website which has affiliate links for all of these exchanges, which helps support the channel here if you do sign up and trade using them, and there's no extra cost to yourself. But they're there if you need a solid platform. Of course, there's no pressure. Step 2 then is to diversify. Now, I'm not talking about leaving all of my eggs in one basket after a moonshot like that. I would be rebalancing into some Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum, maybe even some boring index funds on the traditional side too. Why? Because if XRP taught me anything, it's that the ups and the downs can be pretty crazy. By securing some BTC or even some stocks, I'm basically saying thanks for the gains, now let's make sure that they don't evaporate. Now, one commenter planned to kind of put 25% into Bitcoin. I would probably do something rather similar, maybe even a little bit more. Step 3, I'm going to treat myself just a little, right? Look, I'm not going to lie and say I'd live exactly the same way. I might finally take that trip to Japan that I've been dreaming about, or maybe buy my wife that Tesla that she's been eyeing up, assuming that we haven't all switched to flying electric cars by then, right? But the key is moderation, right? The stories of crypto millionaires who blew it all are real and quite scary, right? I'm determined not to be one of them. And throughout this process, I'd keep maybe 10 to 20% of my XRP stash intact. Yes, even at $1,000. Call me crazy, but if it got there, who's to say that it stops there? Okay, logic might say so, but emotions are pretty powerful. Plus, I would want to remain part of the XRP network and community no matter what. It's a symbolic thing as much as a financial one. Now, speaking of financial, let me pause here for an essential reality check. Right, now, this is a mandatory disclaimer, so pay attention here because this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, had to get that out of the way. Now, aside from the numbers and the what ifs, there's something deeper here, right? This whole thought experiment got me thinking about how else I could be involved in crypto, beyond just holding and waiting. And that's how I stumbled onto something called Unity nodes in the middle of this late night Reddit Discord rabbit hole that I found myself in. Now, Unity is a little bit of a tangent, but trust me here, it's kind of worth sharing. So imagine a project that allows people like you and me to contribute to a decentralized telecoms network with just a smartphone, and you earn crypto while doing it. It sounds sci-fi, right? But actually it's quite real. Now, Unity Nodes is basically a collaboration between a blockchain project focused on connectivity, that's World Mobile with their token WMT, and another project called Minutes with their token MNT. Now together, they've actually created a system where you can purchase a Unity node which comes with a whole bunch of licenses. Those licenses let you run smartphones and an app that does useful work, like checking the health of your local network or expanding wireless coverage. And in return, you earn crypto rewards, which can be anything from BTC all the way through to ADA. It's pretty flexible. So think of it this way. It's kind of like how people set up Wi-Fi hotspots on Helium to earn HNT, but on a much larger scale and for mobile networks, right? You're basically helping to build a community-driven cell network or verification layer for telecoms, and you get paid for the services that you provide. And they've actually made it so that these Unity nodes and licenses are actual NFTs, which is pretty wild because it means that they're transferable, they're sellable, and even leasable assets. So if I owned a Unity node and I had more licenses than I can actually use, I could lease some of them out to other people and share the rewards. Now, in turn, or at least it turns the whole thing, I guess, into a mini business of its own. Now, you might be thinking, why on earth am I bringing this up now? Well, it's because I visualize my life in a scenario where XRP makes me incredibly wealthy, right? I immediately start thinking about sustainability. Now, if I'm not working a regular job as much as I was, or if at all, right, I'd still want to be doing something, and ideally something that earns money and continues and contributes to a community. Now, running something like a Unity node actually fits the bill for me. It's kind of geeky, I know, but it's kind of beneficial to technology and to people, and it creates a passive income stream. Plus, it aligns with that whole idea of decentralized ownership, one of the reasons that I fell in love with crypto in the first place. Now, people have been buzzing about Unity nodes in some corners of the crypto world because it feels like a new frontier, real utility, real revenue that they earn fees from a telecom carriers for improving the network and just share them with node operators, and real community involvement here. And get this, right? Unlike a lot of other crypto projects that are all talk, Unity actually puts its money where its mouth is. When you buy a Unity node, a chunk of that purchase literally is used to buy and stake the underlying tokens, WMT and MNT, for 2 years, right? They're making sure that the network has skin in the game, and you have a stake in its long-term success. Now, this is not just a cash grab, it requires commitment from both sides. Okay, so that's the commercial over. I swear I'm not getting sponsored by them or anything crazy, though hey, Unity if you want to, and if you're watching, my emails are open. Anyway, I just find it fascinating, and it illustrates the bigger point that I'm pointing out here, that hitting a big goal like $1,000 XRP is not the actual end. It's the start of asking, what's next? How do I grow this or use it for something more meaningful? Now, this whole journey from the morning coffee spit tweet to now has been a bit of an eye-opener. It reminded me why I got into crypto in the first place, not just for the epic price targets, but for the innovation, the community, the idea that we could actually change things in the world of finance and technology. I also realized that even if XRP never really hits or touches $1,000, going through this exercise is actually incredibly valuable. It forces you to kind of set targets and, more importantly, to make plans. Maybe your target is $10, maybe it's $100. It doesn't really matter. What does matter, though, is having a strategy for when things actually go right, and by extension, when things go wrong. Because the only kind of certainties in crypto are the volatility and the unexpected. Ultimately, whether or not we ever see a 4-digit XRP, I'm kind of grateful for the hype around it. It's crazy, right? I know, but it keeps the community dreaming big, and if those dreams drive engagement and strengthen our belief in XRP's long-term potential, as kind of saying goes, shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you're gonna land among the stars. For me, thinking about a moonshot, maybe double check that my rocket, aka my plan, is actually in good shape. I'm tightening up my strategies, I'm learning about new tech like the Unity nodes, and making sure that I'm enjoying the journey and not just the destination. And so, what's your plan? Seriously, if you haven't actually thought about it, take some time after this video to jot down a few ideas, right? Hop into the free Discord, bounce ideas off of others. Like I said, it's completely free and it's full of people who love chatting about all of this kind of stuff. Now, before I kind of wrap up here, I want to leave you with one kind of final thought. Now, I know that some of this sounds like daydreaming, but a lot of fortunes in crypto have been made by those who dared to daydream. And prepared for when their dreams came true. Now, XRP might or might not be that golden ticket, but if it is, you will, or at least will you actually be ready? And so guys, if you have found this useful, informative, maybe even entertaining, do me an absolute solid by smashing that like button. The more likes that we get, the further this kind of video gets distributed on the YouTube platform. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with all the latest news when it comes to XRP, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and I will catch you all in the next one.